begin to look at spring ball by naming 5 players on offense that you are interested in following their development and why. Mark, who are your 5 players that you're interested in on offense that you want to follow?
Yeah, Caleb Williams, just because I want to see if he's ready to take that next step. And it's hard to say that next step going from great to awesome, but he's kind of laid it out there. He's setting up some personal goals. I know some of it was, tongue in cheek, maybe it wasn't, but I want to see how he handles that pressure, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him this coming season, especially knowing that he's got a defense that that we're not sure of. I won't put words in his mouth. The other player, Rayleigh Brown, is he going to be that guy? He had a chance to show what he could do as a freshman. Now you take that leap to your sophomore season, put on the weight, get stronger, smarter. Let's see if he's the guy to be, that everybody wanted in the country. Zachariah Branch, obviously, if he's everything that Chris says he is, boy, we got Reggie Bush 2.0. And then I want to see Lake McCree. I want to see the tight end. You were able to pull one in the recruiting. Let's see Lake McCree become a big part of the offense. We know he's really athletic. I loved what I saw from him last year. I just want to see more of it. And then the other guy on offense, and there's so many players to choose from, but Marshawn Lloyd. I want to see if that's going to be the running back this year. And if he is, there's going to be some dominoes that fall in that room. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Eric, who's your Fab 5?
So I went with just 5 returners. I didn't go with any newcomers or transfers. Raleek and Lake McCree actually on my list. I thought Raleek, he had that game against Rice where he scored and then had that long run and then got hurt. And you just wonder, when you're a true freshman and you're trying to kind of make your way and make an impact, when you get hurt that early, how does that affect sort of development? And I thought against Tulane, we really saw how he can get used. He caught a bunch of passes, was targeted a ton, given some handoffs, was kind of all over the field. And so where does that go next? Because one of Mark's other guys, Zachariah Branch, is coming and he's not waiting for anybody. He wants to get on the field right now. Marshawn Lloyd, another guy at running back. So it's going to get crowded quickly at those skill positions. I'd like to see how really it gets used. Another guy for me, Jonah Monheim on the offensive line. Potentially a switch, and we talk about Michael Tarquin coming over from Florida. That's a guy who's played right tackle pretty much exclusively. Jonah Monheim played right tackle and right guard. I think the thought from all of us is he probably slides in and plays right guard. What does that look like? He'd still be playing next to Justin Dedich, but at different positions sort of for both of them, although you moved a ton of guys around a lot in 2022. But is he Andrew Voorhees, right? Is he an All-American and potentially the best interior lineman in the Pac-12? Needs a big step forward, and Caleb Williams needs every bit of great offensive line play this year. So interested to see him. And then I threw a couple of wide receivers on there, a couple of returners, and that's Taj Washington and Brendan Rice. Does USC get Cotton Bowl Brendan Rice for an entire season? There were ups and downs. He made some great plays. You lose Jordan Addison, and I think the thought is, maybe Dorian Singer comes in and does that. If Brendan Rice gives you 12, 13, 14, 15 games of Cotton Bowl Brendan Rice, that is a big time addition and probably your number one receiver there. So interested to see what he does. And then Taj Washington, there's so much talk about sort of Mario Williams and what he might do. And yes, he was great for stretches, but Taj Washington, he did so much in that offense. He lined up in the backfield, he played slot, he blocked, he did all of that kind of stuff. I think that next level for him, just in terms of the offense, maybe not if you just look at receptions and receiving yards and touchdowns, but how he functions and how vital he is to the offense. Interested to see kind of where he goes this spring too.
Okay, Chris, you're 5.
So I'm going to talk about Zachariah Branch because he's my favorite guy to talk about. Look, Taj Washington and Mario Williams are very good football players. Both of them have experience. They've made plays. And both of them are hearing footsteps right now because Zachariah Branch is more talented than they are. And that's not a knock on those guys. Those guys are quick and they're fast and they can make plays. But Zachariah Branch is different. And I think it's going to be very difficult to keep him off the field. Wide receiver is a position where guys can play early. We've seen a lot of USC guys through the years come in as freshmen and play very, very well. I will be stunned if Zachariah Branch isn't one of the go-to guys on that offense by midseason. I just think he's that talented. He has, Lincoln Riley had talked about it in his press conference. This is a guy who, in terms of change of direction and speed and ball skills, he has everything. He's extraordinary. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I also have Rayleigh Brown on my list. He's a talented kid who last year did not understand how to play running back at the college level. You got to get first downs when there's a first down to be gotten. You've got to get upfield instead of going north-south because he's no longer so fast he can just outrun everybody. I think he'll figure those things out, but he needs to if he's going to be a weapon. Because last year he was a guy that had talent, but you couldn't rely on him. You couldn't rely on him because it could be 3rd and 1 and he has a 3-yard gain and he'll take a 2-yard loss instead. And you just can't do that. It doesn't work. So I think he's going to take a big step forward. I hope he is. I'm interested to see what Malachi Nelson brings to the table. Not because, I hope he doesn't play this year. If he plays this year, then I'm going to be very disappointed. We all will be. But I'd like to see what he has. And is this the next big thing at quarterback for USC? And a couple of linemen, Mason Murphy and Cortland Ford. Mason Murphy's a guy that the coaches clearly love his ability and his ceiling. I want to see whether he takes that next step. And Cortland Ford is now finding himself in a very crowded offensive line room. And this is a guy who sees himself as an NFL left tackle. Well, if that's what he is, then he's going to have to take a major step. He's probably going to have to be a little bit quicker than he was last year. And he's going to have to beat out some pretty good dudes if he's going to take over that spot. So I'm curious to see what those guys do this spring.
Well, assuming that the players I name are going to participate in spring ball, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that Malachi Nelson will not participate in the way we probably would like to have seen him participate because he's recovering from shoulder surgery. So we'll see how that one goes. Be great to see him on the field, no doubt about that. One of the other players I wanted to list in my top 5 was Ethan White, the committed, should we say, transfer offensive lineman from Florida, who I understand is kind of waiting for an opening spot on the roster. Maybe somebody has to transfer or just say, I've had enough. Otherwise, he'd be in my top 5. But to my knowledge, these are my 5 that I expect will be in spring ball, and correct me if I'm wrong. One is Marshawn Lloyd. If he's at spring ball, which I haven't heard that he isn't going to be, I think that he's really going to contend for the starting position, and we'll see how he develops. And then you start saying, as Chris said, and I agree with him, by the way, the development of the young freshman running back, and we'll see how he does when he sees a player like Marshawn Lloyd, who I think is really outstanding. In fact, I guess the guy that he's really going to compete against, honestly, is going to be Austin there. And I think that he's going to have quite a battle with Austin Jones. I also want to see Dorian Singer. I want to see how he connects with Caleb Williams. I think that Dorian Singer, if he's going to be the lead guy, he's going to show it throughout spring ball. We'll see how that develops. I also agree with Zachariah Branch. Although, as great as I think Zachariah Branch could be, and no matter how good he looks in the spring, he's still got to prove it in front of 70,000 people in the Coliseum. Now, I did not see every single play that Zachariah Branch had at Bishop Gorman, but there was some question raised about consistency in catching the ball. Although I saw him in the Polynesian game, he looked great. Obviously, if he's got the ball in his hands, he's going to go. If you don't, I mean, you could have 3 guys on him, and he's going to find a crack and try to take it all the way. The other one I want to see is Jarrett Kingsley from Washington State, because this is going to have an effect on what happens with Cortland Ford. If Jarrett Kingsley is the left tackle, that would be a good thing or a good problem to have. And number 5, I'm going to go with wide receiver Brendan Rice myself. And I think Eric made a good point of it. Are we going to see the Cotton Bowl Brendan Rice? I still get the impression that I'm not always 100% sure when I see the ball going toward him, whether he's covered or he's not covered, whether he's going to catch the ball. But we'll hope that the Cotton Bowl was a big step. But I'd like to see his development in practice and see how it goes.